Welcome to the flip side of adversity. I'm your host, Dr. Virdra Jackson, and tonight's conversation is one that will stop you in your tracks. Let me ask you a question. Are you showing up as your real self in your business, in your career, in your relationships? How about just in life? Or have you been showing up as who you think people expect you to be? Here's the truth. You can't make the impact you were designed to make while wearing somebody else's mask. We're talking about authenticity tonight. Authenticity is not a brand, it's your evidence. It's what draws people in, builds trust, and makes you the only one who can do what you do, the way you do. So tonight, global business coach and master facilitator Tish Valdez joins us to help us understand what it means to be authentic, not perform authentically. Let's get it clear, to actually align yourself with how to lead, how to love, and how to live so that we can truly and only you truly impact the way you were designed to. So let's stay tuned because this episode will remind you how to be the evidence for you. Stay with us. Hello again. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Tish before we bring her in so we can have this powerful conversation. Tish Valdez is a global business coach, speaker, and master facilitator who helps professionals achieve personal and business success beyond their expectations. Her clients consistently describe her as a business mentor, perpetual learner, working alongside them to create success that extends beyond the workplace into their personal fulfillment. And I know her as a good sister friend who has shown up, and y'all flew all the way from Florida so she could be in the house. That's a true sister friend. To have this conversation that's specifically curated for you so that you give yourself permission to be fully you. So welcome to the flip side of adversity conversation, Tish Valdez.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And the crowd goes wild.
I wish we could see the crowd
Yes,
going wild. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
I'm
no.
so excited to talk about this today.
I'm excited as well because I feel like this is a conversation for the times that we are in, when there's so much uncertainty, when there's elements of erasure, there's elements of who are we, who am I want to remain clear on who I am and my purpose. This is such a powerful time to have this conversation. And I feel like you have shared that you have a story that has gotten you here. So I want to open up by asking, when was actually the first time that you realized that the version of you that was showing up wasn't really you?
Oh my
What was that
goodness.
moment?
You know what? I don't know if it was a moment, but it was a period of time in my life. And I think it was kind of early in my career because I was always vocal, I was always creative, always had opinions about things. And I realized not everybody wanted to hear that. Not everybody wanted to hear my opinion. Now, first of all, I had to learn how to express it so they would listen. That's
That
how I ended
part.
up working in communication. But I started to realize, well, I am conforming to the environment so that people will listen to me, so that I can speak. And I was just thinking, it's not that I wasn't saying what I really thought. It's not that I wasn't being truthful. It's not that I changed that, but I did change how I delivered things. I changed how I said things, when I said things, who I said them to. It took me from not being afraid to express myself to anybody at any level in any organization to, oh, the rules say and conformity says I'm not supposed to speak to those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but wonder how much that was shaped in me versus what was natural. I think what was natural was express yourself, help people, bless people, encourage people, share with them. You've got another idea that might make their idea even better than it already is. Share that idea. But at some point I learned, and I believe this is learned, it's not natural. I learned to kind of quiet it down, and deliver the way it was expected. But that was, fortunately for me, that was early in my career. You know what I mean? It was early in my career. And then it got to a point where I think when I started to realize that there were people who had power and influence who did want to hear what I had to say. And I started to realize, oh, they want to hear me. And I think your listeners have people like that, but we don't know it. We think, oh, we have a tendency to complain sometimes. Oh, they don't want to hear it because I expressed it and they didn't do anything about it. That doesn't mean they're not listening.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they don't think your voice is important. We just have to learn to keep speaking up. So I think for me, it was very early on. And I realized, no, somebody does want to listen. But at some point, I got to the point I decided, I don't care if they really want to listen.
I'm going to say the truth.
Yes. I'm going to say what they need to hear because I felt like I had an obligation for them to permit them to fail. Now they can choose not to employ or consider my perspective. That's perfectly fine. But I felt like I had an obligation. If you see somebody about to fall, you should go over and grab them, right? You don't look at them and say, well, I knew that was coming. That doesn't help them. And I think I just got to a point where no. And I think that's why I'm a consultant. That's why the industry I'm in is I am a consultant to lots of different clients and I help them in lots of different ways. I think because in that role, there's an expectation. I'm going to show up and tell you the truth.
Yes.
Or I'm going to at least give you different alternative perspectives. I'm going to give you things to consider. I'm going to help you weigh the risks against the opportunities. I'm going to throw things out there. Sometimes I have a point of view and an opinion. Sometimes I'm just there to help you think better. Yes. In fact, I call myself an intellectual thinking partner.
I love it.
To my clients. And that's the way I see it.
I think the opportunity or the gift that you were given is now paying forward for others in this season and time because it happened so early in your career. I know that there are people who are listening right now. They might be literally at their desks, having second thought, having doubted their voice all day long. And now this episode is showing up for accountability. But I often think about those who are in that space, who are in that tension of, I want to be able to differentiate myself from everyone else. But you actually have a different perspective around that concept of differentiating yourself from others. What is it? You use a whole different word.
Me that because I don't like that word.
Yeah.
I think the word differentiate, and I think if we research it, and I haven't done a lot of deep research, it comes from business school language. And I don't know when the first time it came up as a term we would use in business. But differentiate by definition means there's a comparator.
Yes.
I don't believe I have any. That's why I use the word distinguish.
Yes.
I never try to differentiate myself from anyone. With my company, P31 Consulting, we don't try to differentiate ourselves from any other company out there. Why? Because no one's doing what we do, the way we do it, how we do it. And that's the way I see myself.
Yeah.
No one can help you, whoever you are, whoever the potential client or person or friend, no one can help you the way I can help you. And the way I can help you with the words that I would use, the way I would show up for you. And no one can get you to that success or those goals or achieve those goals or exceed them. No one can do it the way I can do it. That's what distinguishes. And the example I like to use is distinguished professors don't get the title because they were compared to someone else, because they don't have anything to compare. Right. They do their own work, their own research. They've written their own papers. They've been published in different. You can't compare someone that's doing work on rare disease research with someone who's doing something with AI development. There's no comparison. they stand alone, and that's why they are
Distinguished.
And I think when we start to realize what distinguishes us, and I think we have to identify it.
But how? Because I feel
Yes,
I'm
yes.
completely agreeing with you.
Yes.
Before we went on air, I was like, oh, we're so aligned.
Mhm.
But how? Because that journey you just shared with us at the start of this conversation gave you a confidence that also, I think, supported clarity for you. But if I have carried this creating this differentiating myself from others, I'm comparing especially in the culture that we're in now, how do I actually begin to recognize what is special about my voice?
It's easy.
Oh, all righty. Well then.
We'll start there.
Yes, we'll start there.
It's easy. We just don't do it. It starts
Okay.
with believing it.
Mm.
And that's a choice. Belief is a choice, right? So I can believe when I go outside that it's a bad place for me out there, or I can believe that there's no danger out there, right? And think about the way people show up. It's because of how they believe. If you start by believing, there's no one that knows what you know. No one has had the life experiences that you've had. No one has had the interactions with the same people that you have. No one has had the business experience, if you want to go there, that you've had. No one's had the work experience that you've had. No one's had to solve the same problems that you have in the same way that you have at the same time period in life that you have. I could go through another 10,
Yes.
and all of those unique points. I think if people were just to go, okay, well, what's unique about me? They could write it down, but you don't have to. You have to start by believing what I said is true. You're not going to disagree with what I said. Is there anyone else who's done exactly what you've done, how you've done it, with whom you've done it, in the time periods that you've done it, based on the culture, where it was when you've done? Is there anyone who's done that what you've done, Deirdre?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So once you believe that, and I think the problem is we don't help each other to see just that very easy thing that I just put a frame around it. And I could have gone on with 10 more questions or statements of, there's no one else like you who has. There's no one else like you who has. Once we believe it, it's the beginning. It's like a springboard journey into a new person. I believe I go through periods where I evolve, and I'm not who I was before, right? But it all starts with what I'm believing about myself.
Yes.
Right.
So are you saying that opportunity to truly evolve, because I appreciate that word. I've been using that word more and more in this season in life that I'm in, is connected to the belief that I had in the version that I was prior to the shift and change. So I've got to become rock solid, like truly believe. And in some respects, there has to be a release connected to that as well, wouldn't you say?
I absolutely agree.
Okay.
I'm not who I was before. I'm not who I was a year ago.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. I don't want to be who I was before. There's a great book. It's an older book. You may have heard of it. What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Yes.
Right? That's a great book. And you don't even have to read the book. Listeners, don't even read the book. Just listen to what I just said. What got you here won't get you there.
Yes,
so
yes.
if we keep churning with the same thing all the time and doing the same things in the ways that have made us successful in the past, there's no guarantee it's going to make us successful in the future. There's no guarantee we're going to have peace in the future. It's no guarantee we're going to be able to celebrate life in the same way. I think it starts with believing that it's okay to constantly be becoming. I think I'm always becoming. I'm always becoming, and I'm always evolving. And quite frankly, I don't want the old her.
Right.
I don't want the version of me that was around 10 years ago.
Right.
You know why? Because if I'm holding on to her, I am not getting smarter.
Right.
I'm not getting better. I'm not changing.
Yeah.
I'm not learning. I'm not growing. I don't want her. I want whatever. I don't even want who I was yesterday.
Right.
As a result of this conversation you and I have, I'm not going to be the same. I'll talk about things different. I'll think about things differently. I will touch other people's lives differently. And I think it really starts with that. You have to believe, first of all, that you are unique and distinguished.
Yes.
You need to stop. Oh, let me rewind a little bit.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about in a corporate or a job environment, we're always being put in this little box to compare ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Performance reviews, the way that raises are distributed on a curve system. Somebody has to be good, somebody has to be bad, and everybody else is kind of in the middle. They're constantly training us to compare ourselves with everyone else around us. I think we need to reject that. You don't have to reject it verbally in the environment, but you reject it in terms of whether you believe that's true.
Right.
So I don't care what kind of raise I get. I mean, I have my own business, so some clients hire me, some clients don't. What if I defined myself by the people who didn't select me? I'm just not for you.
Right.
You know, and if I work in a work environment and I don't get the raise that I want, I disagree with your decision, but I got to let that go.
But that's not my value.
It's not. It has nothing to do with your value.
It's not my value. Yes.
And I think that's the other magic word. It's like belief. What do you believe about yourself? And you had asked how. I think the how comes, and this is how I help, especially women do this. I help men too, but mostly women. I help them define what their value is, not what they do.
That is so hard. I have had women in tears separating the two.
Because they don't know how, do they?
Right?
And it's hard. It hurts our brains.
It does.
Because we've never had to think that way before.
Literally start weeping when I take them through an exercise where you are not what you do.
No. Mm-mm.
But when we're able to recognize that you are a whole person, and this connects to what you just said, because I'm continuously evolving, if I lock myself to the tasks, the things that I've always done, I've also put myself in a prison connected to those things. I can't evolve when my identity and my value is connected to something that I've always done. My value continues to evolve. My awareness of my value continues to evolve. My identity continues to evolve. And what I do can then evolve as well. Oh, girl, you
as you're talking, I want to start interviewing you right now because I'm like, wait, I have questions.
You brought that out of me. Yes.
But let's think about this for a minute. And here's how they have to learn how to unpack it. I think society measures our worth, and I'm not going to use the word value.
Okay.
Our worth on how we perform, right? Every environment we go in, it's how we perform. You go to work, it's how you perform, how you are as a spouse, right? What are you doing in the relationship when you're with a partner, when you're dating? What are you doing? Everything is about performance and behaviors. That's not the same as value.
Yeah.
There's an exercise I do with the women that I coach is I tell them they have to come up with their 7-word story. But the 7-word story has to be value oriented. I don't want to hear about what you do. Yes. Don't tell me what you do. Don't tell me how you do it. Don't tell me how quickly you do it. I don't want to hear that. I want to know when someone comes in contact with you or they're interacting with you, what change will they experience? What will that experience for them? How will they evolve as a result for you? For example, I have different 7-word stories depending on who I'm talking to. So I came up with one for my corporate clients when I'm selling training.
Yes.
And I said, I want a 7-word story because I teach people to do this. So I have to come up with my own. And I have one that says challenged, changed, actioned, all before class ends. So it's a very clear vision. The person I'm talking to, if someone says, what do you do? Challenging, I'm changing you. You were actioning things all before class ends. And so if you come into my training program, I want it to be clear in 7 words or less, that's what you can get. If I meet somebody on a plane and they say, what do you do? You know, I have a longer than a 7-word version, but I think about this before I get on the plane, every time I get on the plane, because I never know who I'm going to sit next to, what they might say to me, how the conversation might go. And if they ask me, what do? I typically say, I help people speak in a way people always want to listen to what they have to say. Yes. Next. And so
Yeah.
imagine when I say that to the person next to me. I teach people,
I
I
want
coach people.
more.
Right. They usually say to me, how do you do that?
Yes.
I just demonstrated to you exactly what I do.
Right.
Now you want to talk to me, right? You want to
Right.
know how I do that. That we have to learn, but that comes from belief. And I think the confidence follows the belief.
Yes.
I don't know if it precedes it or follows it, but I think once I believe, I can show up confidently.
Yeah.
But it's not about what I'm doing. It's about how I'm changing people and impacting their lives. I mean,
Yes.
I coach people in sales and I say they're never buying what you're selling.
They aren't.
They're buying
They
how they're going to
aren't.
feel when they get to that better place you're going to take them to.
Yes.
It's all about the feelings. It's all about the change and the evolution. I don't even subscribe to features benefits. I have another. I always say,
Mhm.
skip over the benefits and go right to the value,
Yeah.
because there might be some value in benefits, or there may not be some value in those benefits.
Right.
But if you go to the heart of the matter,
Mhm.
if you go to what that person, what does Verdra value?
Right.
Not what I see as the value.
Right.
What does she value? And have I invested the time to get to know her and to understand that? Think about that. How much time do we invest in ourselves to understand our value and what we value? We don't.
But when you just talked about that split moment of getting on the plane
Uh-huh.
and the intentional approach, because you also said as you got on the plane coming here, you had a moment of really identifying why am I going? What is it that is a part of my assignment? I'm thinking of how many people don't set intention
Mm.
before
Mhm.
they move into either the room, the boardroom, the next moment, the next conversation, actually setting intention for what kind of impact you want to make, the value you're going to bring to the room. Sometimes we're so focused on, like, what do I need to do? How do I need to wow people? Actually think about what value I'm going to add to this room when I get in there could shift the entire atmosphere when you actually walk in.
It shifts the atmosphere. It
Mhm.
shifts how you show up.
Mhm.
It shifts how
Mhm.
people see you.
Yeah.
When you come in already knowing that you intend to bring that value, you look different when you walk through the door.
Yeah.
We've all been in a place where someone walked in and we were like, wow, look at that person. They just walked in and there was something about them that came in with confidence. And, I don't know. We know it. We know it when we see it, right?
Yes.
Your listeners
Yes.
know it when they see it.
Yes.
We've all seen that person. That's because they know who they are. They believe they have a right to be there. They believe
Mhm.
they're supposed to be there and they want to bring value. I think what gets us in a little bit of a trap is when we're going to get. If
Mm.
I'm showing up because I want to get something out of the room, if that's my intention, it scares people away because nobody likes the person who's always there just to take.
Mhm.
And we can also sense the person who's there. We can tell by the questions you're asking because you're not really interested in me. You're asking because you're trying to get to a point.
Mhm.
I think we have to shift our intention. I'm there because I am distinguished. I'm uniquely me. There's nobody that knows what I know and can do what I can do and can touch this room the way I can touch it. So I'm going to show up and touch the room. And I'm going to trust with that intention that something will come back. I'm not going to go in there to take it, but if I show up with that intention, I'm going to trust that the right people, because
Yes.
I don't want to work with everybody. I don't know about you, but I don't want to work with everybody.
No.
I don't want everybody to say yes to me. I don't.
I found that what's for me is for me.
Yes.
And if it was a no, it means that's not what was for me
At least at that point in time.
at that point in
perhaps.
time.
Yeah.
And it has allowed me
Mhm.
to let it go so that I'm not attaching who I am to that no.
Yeah.
I recognize that that wasn't for me in this moment.
Yeah.
I can then shift my attention to adding value somewhere else, depositing, continuing to, as we said, evolve. But everything in what you're just saying though is an element of, it feels like freedom.
It is. I think, in fact, I think the freedom comes before all of this happens.
Okay.
I think the freedom starts with the belief.
Mhm.
Once I know who I am and
Mhm.
I believe that
Mhm.
I am that person. And I
Mhm.
think that I have to believe it. I can tell you all day long. I can coach somebody all day long and tell them how great and wonderful they are and how their ideas are wonderful and they need to go out and
Mhm.
I can speak that into them, but until they
They
believe it,
believe it.
right?
Yes.
Nothing happens.
Nothing.
They stay where
Nothing.
they are, or they make little teeny steps at a time. And then
Mhm.
because that confidence doesn't exist and the belief doesn't exist, they tend to fall back or they stop. In fact, I don't even believe the concept of failure. I believe I'm
Mm.
always learning, and you
Mhm.
probably
Yes.
believe that
Same.
too. It's, people will ask me, well, think about a failure you had in your life and what did you learn from that? Well, I can't think of any failures. I can think of situations where I didn't prepare well. I
Mm.
know exactly what happened. I can think of situations where I showed up in a room too early. I wasn't ready for it.
Mm.
Didn't go the way I wanted it to. I can look at, but I learned every single
Right.
time.
Yes.
I'm always evaluating and I'm not pointing the finger. And I think that's something we need to stop doing, even at work.
Mhm.
Your manager gave you a low rating or your manager didn't give
Mhm.
you the raise you wanted. We want to talk about it and complain and complain and complain and
Mhm.
complain. I'd rather redirect that energy.
Yes.
That takes a lot
Yes.
of energy, right? I would rather redirect it. I have a consulting company. We have to sell our services. We get no's. I can't take those no's personally.
Mm.
And I did for many, many years. I did.
Mhm.
But I realize now they're saying no to what I'm offering them. They're not saying no to me.
Yes.
So I still have value, and my value is not diminished because they have said what you have. And sometimes they just don't see how it can benefit them. But even in that situation, I'm reevaluating.
Mhm.
Did I communicate to them the value they would receive working with
Mhm.
me well enough so that they could go, oh, I see that
I
picture.
see it.
When I
Mhm.
work with her, this is how my life is going to change. This is how my work is going to change. Maybe they said no because I didn't communicate it as
Mhm.
effectively as I could have. Maybe said they said no because I'm just not the one. Sometimes I'm glad they said no because through the process of getting to know them, I didn't want to work with
No.
them. No,
That was a good
I did
no.
not want to work with you. No, that's good. No,
Yes.
you know what? I agree, and
I
that's what I'll
am
say.
good.
I agree with you. I agree. I can see why you made that decision. Good luck. Because everybody's not for us.
This conversation, though, leads us into this word that in social media is used, but I feel as though it's not genuinely used because we have so many filters that we're putting up. In a filter age, this word of authenticity, of
Mhm.
being authentic, it can seem scary, I think, especially to leaders. When you think of this word authentic, how do you walk leaders through being authentic without turning their or losing or releasing them from feeling afraid of how that's going to impact their performance, perception of other people? Like, I can't be vulnerable in front of them. They all need me to be the strongest one in the room.
Yeah.
Like, how do you walk leaders through this, the power of being authentic and what it can do for and with those that they're influencing?
I think it starts by, I would say, let's redefine what it means to show up authentically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have I can be authentic in every every space I
Mm-hmm.
enter, but I don't have to show up with all of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity to me doesn't mean I give you all of me.
Mm-hmm.
My family gets a lot more intimacy from me,
Mm-hmm.
another level of authenticity from me
Mm-hmm.
than I bring to work. And I think that's where we mix it up. I
Mm-hmm.
think that people think, okay, I've got to show up authentically, which means I say what I think, I say it the way I think it, I say it when I want it. No, that's not being authentic. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, maybe you just need some coaching on how to behave in certain environments. That's not that. I think authenticity to me means I am who I am in every environment that I go in. One of the things that my father told me years ago, he says he doesn't remember this, but he did. His family was from the South, though he grew up in Philadelphia. But his parents were from the South, heavy Southern accents. His siblings, most of them were born in the South, and so he identified a lot with Southern people because that was the way his household was. Now a black man in the 1950s and 60s, he had a rough time, right? Trying to establish himself, establish a career, go through college, put himself through college when nobody else in his family even knew what college was or that they should do it, right? So he had a rough ride, but he was very successful ultimately. And I remember one day at this time, I think he was an executive vice president. So he had really done well in his career at a company. And he came home, and I was like 16 and like feeling myself, and I knew everything and he didn't know anything. And he said something like, I ain't gonna da 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 da. And I said, you should not speak like that. That is not correct English. And I mean, I was just feeling myself all over the place. And he looked at me and said, look, I'm bilingual. And he said, I speak one way at home and I speak another way when I go to work. When I come in my house, I'm going to say ain't da da da. I mean, and I've told him that I learned such a huge lesson from that, and it goes to the authenticity. Who I am authentically with my family is not the same as who I am authentically with work. I think there's a level of which I share my authenticity, and everybody doesn't get the same amount or degree or intensity. I don't even know what the right word is for that. And I think I learned that from that lesson with my father when he was basically saying, I know how to show up in those rooms. I know how to show up in the boardroom. I know how to show up when I'm working with the people who report to me. And how I show up and how I speak is all authentic. And when he said that, it made sense to me. A person who speaks Spanish goes home and speaks Spanish. Are they not being authentic because they speak English at work? Of course they're being authentic. Right. And so again, it goes back to what we're doing is not the definition, right? Yeah. It's from where it's coming, I think, is for me what the difference is. I think I'm authentic with everybody I'm with, and I don't turn it off. There was a time I did. And I mean, I may not have said something, but if I feel like moved, no, I'm going to say it, but I'm going to be careful how I say it, because my intention is always I want it to be received well.
Right.
So I'm not going to say it any kind of way. I'm not going to say it with an attitude, even if I might be feeling an attitude, and I might get off that phone call and go say something to my sister with a completely different tone that I said on the phone. But that's different. I'm not being inauthentic. I am respecting the environment and understanding that I want this person to receive what I'm saying. So I have to constantly ask myself, how do I deliver this in a way they can receive it? Because I want them to be smarter, better, more intelligent, better off. I want them to be better. I don't just want to make my point.
But that connects back to the 7 words, because as I'm even in those moments, I still want to be those 7 words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. In fact, when I do the 7 words, I have a process I take them through to get to them. So we start at a certain place, and there's at a point they write down what they think. Like write it in as many words as you need it to be. And it often starts with, I do this and I do this and I'm smart at this and I have this degree, I've got this degree and I did this and I did this dissertation. And it usually starts with all the things they've done. And I think it's because society measures us on how we perform. And I okay, we do want you to start there. Now I want you to think about it again. And I take them through a process. Okay, now, but I don't want them to overthink who they are. That's why I have them start with just write a paragraph of what's so special about you? And I think that's the question. Write what's special about you. Just write it out. And then I take them through a process that gets them to the 7 words. Yes. And it's because they have to leave defining themselves by the behaviors. And they have to be able to transition, and they have to make it gradual. Like I can't say on your podcast, here's how you do it. They're not going to get it. It takes some guidance. It takes some coaching. It takes some challenging. I have one client who went through our coaching program. And by the end of the session, she said, I've accomplished more with you and Wendy in 2 days than I have done in 2 years with endless mentors, endless coaching programs, endless. But all that we did was work her through what she needed to discover about what was already wonderful about what she was doing, what she was offering, the industry she was in. She
Right.
already believed in herself. She really did have the belief. She just didn't know how to put the words around what that was. She was like, I know I'm great. I know I'm wonderful. I know people value me. And I would say, what is it that why do they value you? Tell me
Yeah.
about it. And she'd be like, not, I'm not really sure. I think, and then she'd go right into performance. And so I think we need to, again, believe in the value we bring and be able to express it and believe we have a right to be in every space we enter. Because
That's
like
a
I said to
whole
you
other
today,
conversation.
I'm just looking for the one whose life I can touch. So
Yeah.
if you've got one listener, if you had hundreds of people listen to this episode and one person said, Tish said this and it changed my life, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Just the one. If we can do more than one, that's even better.
Yes.
But it's important. One person at a time, one person just changing that inside. It's like, wow, no, I am distinguished. Call yourself
Yes.
distinguished. Start using that language. I'm distinguished. I am distinguished. I'm not differentiated. I don't compare myself to anyone else. I'm not saying that about myself. I'm saying your audience, say that to yourself. I'm distinguished.
And being able to, but there's an element of having to repeat that, I think, for it to get deep into the core. So in true form, though, because you have come in like a wave of just fresh air and confirmation for me. But has it always been this way? So the show is
No.
called The Flip Side of Adversity.
Oh,
so
no.
I always
Oh
what?
my
I always ask.
I know
our
we
guests,
want to tell the
so
end of our
what-
story,
right?
And
The highlight reels.
No, we want to go, and they lived happily ever after.
Yes.
That's where we always start, right? But what about once upon a time?
Right. So what was a moment of adversity in your business that you can point to that actually inspired this movement, inspired you to become the person who is actually making this deep impact with others? What was an adversity that helped you make that shift?
You know what? It's interesting. As you were asking the question, I only thought of one incident. I'm sure there were more that helped, that influenced me. And this was, I don't know, maybe the late 2000s, like 2009, 2010 or something like that. I had a client I was working with, a long-term client, had been working with them for years, a corporation. And they had a new person come into a leadership role. And now my team, we had to work with her. And she lied a lot. I mean, just like if you ever meet people who just can't, I think she just couldn't help it.
I would have failed this miserably.
Well,
Because lying is like a trigger for me. I would have failed this
wait, what's funny?
situation miserably.
Lying's a trigger for me too. Lying is so that's why when you ask me what happened. So she was lying a lot. She wasn't just, well, initially we thought she was lying on us because all of a sudden this 5-6 year relationship with the client, we had senior people saying, we understand that you said this. And we're like, whoa. And that you did this and you did. And we were like, wait, there's something strange is going on here. And we tried to work with her. And she was saying, I've never said any of that. Well, they called and said, and she was like, I don't know what they're talking about. I never said any of that. So it was like a clear that the person was lying. She was, and it got really bad. I'm giving you the short version of the story. It got very, very bad, but very quickly. I was working with them. There was another consultant that wasn't worth our group was working with them. And we knew each other, but didn't talk to each other much. And apparently the same day, we both called to cancel our contracts with this company.
Wow.
And so because I got to the point, I said, I can't do this anymore. If I'm going to be out on my own and I'm going to be working this hard, I can't work with people who will lie about what I've said or what I've done. And I mean, it was really hard. Like I was crying because I felt like my reputation was being completely tarnished and there's nothing I could do about it. But You know what I mean? She was going to
Yes.
say what she was going to say. But I mean, I was crying. I was really thinking, this is my biggest client, by far the largest one I have. What do I do? Do I just continue to put up with this? Do I continue to let her talk about me throughout the organization? What do I do? I just didn't know what to do. And it was a lot of crying, a lot of talking to people saying, what do I do? And I just decided one day, I got another one of those phone calls and she said this and I said, you know what? I called her director and
Yes.
said, if you believe that when you've been working with me for 5 years, then I think it's time for the contract to end, because I don't want to work with a person who my job as a consultant is to help her do her job better. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I said, I'd like to cancel my contract effective today. I will even cancel the cancellation clause. Like, they would owe me money. You don't owe me anything. I'm just going to walk away. Excuse me. And she was like, whoa, wait. And what I didn't know is that other person had called her earlier.
Had
done
the same thing.
Had a similar conversation. But it was when I thought my reputation was destroyed. Now, of course it wasn't destroyed. It was one person telling a group of people who knew better, but that's not how I interpreted it. I thought my reputation was destroyed and I couldn't recover. And that was a moment where I almost quit. I essentially did. I said, I'm canceling the contract. That came from a point of confidence of, I don't want to do this anymore. But it wasn't because of the new person I became years later. It was because I was hurt. My heart was broken. I was fearful my reputation was now permanently damaged, and it's a company that touches my whole industry. All of this self-doubt.
And self-talk, like a narrative.
Oh the narratives I was telling myself were, I mean, it was just self-defeating. And so I had to go through that. I had to go through that journey to come on the other side of it, to realize, no, wait a minute. I wasn't the problem. She was the problem. And if those people are going to believe what she's saying when they've been working with me longer than they've been working with her, then I don't want to work with them anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it really changed their trajectory of how I worked with people. And by the way, she ended up getting fired a few days later.
I'm sure.
We didn't ask why. They just said, when I had said cancel my contract, I remember the person said, give me a few days before we do this. Just trust me and give me a few days. And a few days later, she was like, oh. So I never asked. They just said, please don't cancel the contract. She's no longer here. You don't have to deal with that anymore.
But that moment of being able to say, this is not me, is powerful.
Yeah.
And I think
Thank you, therapist Verdra. Thank you so much. Yeah, I need the therapy, 15 years later? I went back. I'm having PTSD. Yes. I'm going back. No, I am. I'm feeling the feelings. I'm not going to stay there. But but telling you the story, I'm physically feeling that feeling of doubt. But I know who I am now. So
yes. And pops right back in.
Pop right back.
Leaders often demand strategies and structure. But as you described authenticity, and it's not about sharing all of you, how do you help a leader who, in those moments, are concerned that their credibility, their connection, they're going to lose that if they don't constantly show up with the next strategy, with the next structure, with the next solution? How do you help them create a balance so that their mind isn't constantly doing those somersaults?
Yeah, call me.
Call you.
No,
that's it. That's it right there.
No, I think it depends on the situation. So I apologize. The answer is it depends, because it really does depend on the situation. And I think it starts with, I would work with breaking what happened down. to help them separate
Mm-hmm.
the who they are and their reputation from what occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to learn how to be objective. Whether you're an entrepreneur, it's harder sometimes, right? Because if it doesn't work, that's our life.
Yep.
It's not a job, it's our life. Or whether you're working in a corporate or a job position, I think we have to first go break down, like, let's talk about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had to do this with a good friend, and I think she's listening tonight. She's going to know what I'm talking about. We had to break down what happened. I had to allow her to express the emotion she was having, but she was also doing to them what they were doing to her. She was saying things like, "Oh, they just did this because fill in the blank." I said, "Well, no. We don't know why they did it. We don't know why she said it. We don't know why she made those moves she made. I'm not saying she made good moves. I'm not saying they made good decisions, but let's separate what happened from how you feel about it. Let's separate what happened from what you think that person's intentions were." And I think that's where that stuff in our head gets wrapped up, is because we start jumping in. We think we're jumping in their head, and we turn it into this negative intention. Oh, it was evil, or oh, it was this, or oh, it was that. That person may not have been thinking any of those things at all. And I think we need to unpack it. And I would say, find a partner, and an accountability partner. Find a friend who's not going to let you wallow in self-pity. That's the kind of friend you want to call.
Right.
And say, help me think this through. Help me separate what happened from how I feel about it, right? From the real impact. Real impact, not my fear-based, anticipated impact. But help me separate these out so I can see the situation objectively, because we can talk about an objective situation and say, now, what should we do about it? Is there anything that you can do about it? What can you do to protect your reputation? Is there anything that you need to do to set the record straight? Because you want to do that outside of your feelings and outside of that other part. You have to do it in an objective way. And I think when we can separate those things out, and I wish I had done that day. I was full of emotion. I mean, full of this is going to impact my reputation.
All of it. All of it.
I had all
but
of
that's
this
golden, though, Tish. The separation. And I want you to say it again. What are they separating? Because I want someone to grab a pen because they are sitting in a place of offense and ruminating over something that happened and holding on to what they think someone is thinking of them. And that's going to shut them down. So walk through those what to separate. Yes.
Okay. First up, what's the objectively what happened? Not what you think about it, not what you feel about it. You should be able to draw a picture, right? So you can't say something like, there are words that we tend to use. She was so aggressive. No, aggressive is not, that was your interpretation, right? Or she was being aggressive. That's your interpretation of what was happening. Describe to me what was happening. Well, she was yelling. She threw something down on the desk. She banged the wall. She slammed the phone down. Well, there's no phones anymore, but you know what I'm saying, right? Someone should be able to see the picture. That's being objective. And then you ask yourself, now, how did I feel about that? How did I feel about that objective thing that happened? And then what impact is it having on me? I need to know what impact it's having on me, because I need to deal with the objective piece, because it could be, like you said, reputation or what people think or future opportunities. But I want to keep it objective, not what I feel about it, and not oh, it's going to impact my future. I don't know. No. What happened and what can we do about it? But I think we have to give everybody a chance to talk about how they feel, even if what they're saying doesn't make any sense at all. And I know I've said things that don't make sense, right? So let them express how they're feeling about what happened. Just let them get it out, but don't let them stay there. Like, don't let yourself stay there. It's okay. Like, I might call my sister, I call my friends, and I say, here's what happened. Oh my gosh, And they're really good with saying, okay, I heard you. All right.
We need more friends. We need more friends that can do these 3 buckets.
Yes. And then say, okay, well, now what is the potential impact? It's about potential impact. Because we don't know. We don't know.
Mhm.
How do you think it's going to impact you? Your career, your relationships, your time, your money. What do you think the potential impact is? And then that's a whole other discussion of now, what do we need to do to protect those things?
Yes.
What do we need to do to protect it? But we have to be able to separate it, because if we keep those emotions and those feelings woven in, you know what else happens? I don't think we're showing up authentically when we show up with all that stuff, all that garbage.
That's a
What-
whole word.
That's like a whole other talk.
Yes.
I don't think that's authenticity. When I showed up with my childhood garbage and my childhood insecurities, that's not me being authentic. That's me not having worked through some issues that I had
Done the work.
and done the work to get to a healthier place. That's not me being authentic. That's me spewing the pain and the hurt and the rejection, or whatever the words are I was feeling, spewing them onto someone else and projecting them onto someone else. That's not authenticity to me. That's just my opinion. I
agree.
I don't think that, but I think people say, no, I need to show.
No.
That's different. And I really think we need to separate those things, because it comes back to what we're talking about. Distinguishing yourself. The only way you can see how you feel and the impact is when you know who you are in those situations. And that's why I call it, what's the only one, the only you. There's only one. There's only you. There's only one like you. Only one, only you, Verdra. Only one, only you, Tish. Only one, only you, Rhonda, who's listening to the podcast.
Yes.
And if we let that stuff stay messy, we never get to show up with all those fantastic qualities and characteristics that we have, that when we put them together, we become this magical value machine that shows up in places, and people are like, wow. When I meet people, I want them to want to talk to me.
Yes. And that's why the word freedom came to me as you were talking, because as you shared, we agree that me carrying all my stuff and my hurt and just feeling free to be able to let them loose on everyone is not being authentic. Authentic is the original design before the pain.
Yes.
And being able to get access to that.
Yeah.
That's the freedom. That's true authenticity.
Yeah.
That continue every time you walk in a space and you add value to that space from your unique original designed place. That's authenticity.
I love that. I love you said the original design before the pain. But I would say, don't stay there. That's your foundation. The original design before the pain was your foundation.
Keep evolving.
Like a butterfly shouldn't stay a caterpillar, right? That was the original design before the evolution.
Yes.
So the caterpillar needed that.
Yeah.
So that it could become something much more beautiful.
Yes.
And I think we need to hold on. We need to know what the foundation is. But when all
believe
that believe it and know that there's nobody else that has that same foundation. Nobody else has the foundation I have. No one else has experiences I've had. No one's had we haven't talked about all the pains and the life trauma and things like that. No one's gone through what I've gone through. Now they see us at the end of the story and they lived happily ever after. We've been talking about that. They always see the end of the story. They don't know what I've gotten through to get to this point.
Yeah.
They don't know the pain. And you know what? My job is to encourage them that they can get to a better place. Yeah. Now, that means maybe one-on-one we might have some conversation about where did I come from? How difficult was it for me? What kind of things did I deal with? I dealt with things in corporate America, being light-skinned, green-eyed, curly hair.
Yeah.
I was doing my best to help my people have success in corporate America, and those same people were stabbing me in my back every day.
Yeah.
Just because of what I looked like, not because of what I was doing, because it didn't matter what I was doing. They just looked at me and they made assumptions, and they were wrong assumptions. That was really hard. It wasn't a little bit hard. I cried lots of tears over that. So we don't know what people have gone through. We don't know what the stories are. We don't know what their struggles have been. But we can be there. We can be there and make sure they know there's only one like you. There's
Yeah.
only one. There's only you. There's nobody else that can do what you do. But you've got to believe it. And like you said, believe it and know your value, not know what you do.
Mm.
Ask somebody, what do you value about me? But ask somebody that you think values you. Don't go ask somebody that you're in the middle of an argument.
Ask someone trusted. So
Yes.
I can't believe that we are at 58 minutes. We're going to have to go over. And I think Keith knew we were going to go over because of what he said when we started.
He did.
He did. He said, just keep going. So I still have 2 questions because
Okay.
I want to make sure in your description for our episode, you use being evidence for you.
Because I love when you say that. I've heard you say that on your podcast.
Yes.
Be evidence for you. Be, the word I love about you, say be. Be evidence for you, not behave.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yes. Yes.
Not behave. That's why I love when you say that.
Yes.
Be evidence for you and what distinguishes you. There's only one, there's only you.
And being a global impact, I'd like for you to share why you believe being evidence for you is so powerful in business growth.
You know what? I think the quick answer is everything in business is evidence-based. Everything is. Every decision is based on some evidence of a need, right? The word evidence is used all over business because you need evidence before we make a decision. We need some evidence that that's the right decision. Before we take an action, we need some evidence that suggests that that's the right action to take. Everything is evidence-based. And that means before anyone will believe it, there has to be evidence that it's believable. And I think that's why I love when you say that. But you have to be,
Yes.
you are the only person who can really, you are the only, I love evidence. I can't change
Yes.
your words. You're the only person who's evidence for who you are and the value you bring. You're the only person. So if someone had just said to me, well, tell me why Verdra is so valuable, I'd have to point to you. Well, she does this and she does this and she shows up this way and she shows up this way and she loves in this way and she's a friend like this. Everything is
The
about you. You
evidence.
are the evidence.
Yes.
You are the evidence. What you embody is the evidence. Your character is the evidence. What you do is a part of the evidence. But you are the evidence. So you have to be that. If you want people, one of the exercises I do sometimes is, what do you want people to say about you?
Yes.
Right? Write those words down. Well, now, and then they're like, okay, what are we going to do with these words? I say nothing. Just be that way.
To be that.
I just take them through the exercise and they're like, oh, we're going to do something with this. We're going to write.
Yes.
No, we're not going to write anything. Did you write it down? Now go forth and be
And
that
in
way.
your business, in your growth, be that.
Be that.
Every day, all day.
And don't quit because you didn't get it right. Do not quit because you didn't get it right. I don't get it right every day. You know, I know you and I know each other.
No.
We do not get it right every day. Do not quit because it didn't work. You know, it didn't work in that moment, in that time, in that situation. It doesn't mean it's not going to work 5 minutes later for somebody else.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's not going to work tomorrow in another situation.
Yes.
I have a business coach that says his assignment to us is go out and get 20 no's. And he goes, so if you get a no, then a yes, you have to start over again.
Oh.
If you get 10 no's and then you get a yes, you got to start over again. He said, I want you to get 20 no's because you learn more in those no's about who you are, your character, your resilience, how you show up, how you deal with challenges, how you deal with adversity. He said, you will be a different person after 20 no's because after a while, you don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes. Oh,
I hate that assignment.
so
though.
I
hated that assignment.
I don't know that I would have the bandwidth, but I absolutely agree. I get it. I feel it because you would be. And when you talk
You're
about
indestructible after 20 no's.
yes,
Nothing can stop you.
and
Yeah.
and that do not quit. When you just said and do
Do
not
not
quit,
Mm-mm.
you just gave somebody an assignment, and I want you to lean in. And I always ask my guests to think about the person who by chance receives the link to this conversation, and they're feeling like that, you know what? This is my season to quit. This is my season to quit. What do you say to that person as they are now receiving this link and they're listening to your words? What do you say to them?
I would say there's no such thing as a season of quitting, but there might be a season of pausing. And a good example is nature, right? I mean, trees pause, right? Especially in the northeast part of the United States and things like that. They pause, they shed their leaves, they go dormant for a while, but they don't die. They don't quit. And so I would say it's okay to pause momentarily. I wouldn't even give it a whole season, but I think pausing is okay. Quitting is not. There's no momentum. There's no forward movement with quitting. It's an end. It's an absolute cutoff. But give yourself permission to pause. Just pause for a moment. Pause to renew.
Yes.
Renew your mind, renew your confidence, renew your beliefs. We all need that. I have self-doubt, but I just don't entertain it anymore. but I want your listeners to understand, I hear it. The thought, I'm in the flesh. The thoughts come up. I just put them out. They come up. I'm like, no, you have no place here. That is not true. Learn to do that, because I didn't learn to do that the first time. This is years and years of me fighting. And I'm sure now that I said this, the good Lord's going to give me a Job experience just because I said that. But I would say that's what I would say to them.
Yes.
Don't quit, but it's okay to pause. And don't ever do this alone. Never, ever. If entrepreneurs that are listening to your show who want to be on their own or on their own, never, ever do this alone, because no one person has all the answers. We need each other.
Yeah. And you just gave them tools to help them in the pause. So they can use this moment to take a breath, not stay there long, and listen to this episode as many times as you need to grab each one of the nuggets to do the work, so that you not only get back in, but you get back in more connected to the most authentic, value-based version of yourself.
I love that.
Oh,
I want to add that to be evidence for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. There's only one, only you.
There's only one,
only
you. Oh, this has been a powerful, powerful conversation. And I'm so grateful for everything that you have brought, everything that you have gone through in order for the words that will give somebody life, and even how you helped me shift who I needed to be before the cameras came on.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, yes. So, are you saying wow just like me? What a powerful conversation tonight. Tish has shared honestly, has reminded us that being different isn't the goal. It's being distinguished. The difference between differentiating and true distinction is authenticity. It's not about polishing your image or your brand. It's about standing confidently in who you are, even when adversity tries to dim your light. She said, do not quit. Every setback, every stumble, every no, it's all evidence that you're still standing, you're still growing, and still called to serve in a way that only you can. When you show up authentically, people don't just hear you, they feel you, and they want to keep listening. Isn't that golden? That's what builds trust. That's what creates loyalty. And that's what makes you the only one, only you. So as you step into your next meeting, next opportunity, next challenge, remember this. Stop proving that you are the performer. Just show up with the evidence of who you are, because the most powerful evidence is you, ever present as you. Same time, same place, next week, right here on The Flip Side. We'll see you then.